Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Cynthia of Cynthia Plans, and today I am here with a video to show you about my power sheets. I mentioned the power sheets by Cultivate What Matters, Laura Casey and the team over at Cultivate What Matters in my 2020 planner stack video, and I mentioned that if there was some interest that I would probably do a video discussing my power sheets a little bit, so that's what I'm going to be doing here today. It'll be a little introduction about the goals that I picked and probably some discussion about why I picked those, and then kind of just checking in. It's going to be February, or it is February now at this point, showing you guys what I plan to do in the coming month to keep on track with my goals, and what I kind of did in January or didn't do that I want to digest and figure out what I could do better from last month to this month so I can have more success this month. I did go into this month's power sheets knowing that I probably wouldn't be able to get through a lot of what I wanted to get through, because the first half of the month would be Let's Flamingo Beaches. And then the last half of the month, I got really sidetracked right after LFB because my little sister went into the hospital with a really serious medical emergency. I had to take her to the ER. I ended up being in the ER basically all night the first night that we were there, and then she had major surgery the next morning, and I was in the hospital with her for a couple days, just staying with her in her room, checking on her, making sure that she was okay. I know firsthand that coming out of surgery, major surgery, can be a really kind of like low time. You feel like you can't do anything, and the meds are all messing with your head and everything. So, depression, sadness, all that kind of stuff starts to settle in. So I wanted to make sure I was with her as much as possible to avoid her having to feel like that at all. But I digress, that's not what this video is about. Let's jump in. I'm going to talk about what my goals are for 2020, and then we'll go on from there. So these are my power sheets. I got the pink linen cover, I think. I do believe that the power sheets for the 12-month Cultivate What Matters power sheets are now sold out. I think they only have the 6-month now, or they're getting ready to release the 6-month. So if you're interested in buying some power sheets, I'll include a link below, but just know that the 12-month is not available right now, and you would have to wait till next year. You can get the 6-month version. So the prep work for the power sheets is pretty intensive. I told a couple of people this who were starting after me or that were asking me questions about it, and I like that it's so intensive because it gets you to really dig deep into what matters to you, hence Cultivate What Matters, and it's asking you to really look at the things that, when you're 80 years old and you're looking back on your life, when you look back on your life, what sorts of memories do you think you're going to be having in mind? What sorts of legacies do you want to leave behind? And are the things that you're doing now helping you get to that place by the time that you're 80? In some cases, yeah, you probably are, raising a family, being married, cultivating that relationship. But with some other things, professional, personal friendships, financial, whatever it might be, you might not be giving yourself the time to do those things. Or even in your relationships, your relationship with your kid, are you necessarily cultivating the relationship that you want to look back on, or the one with your spouse or your partner, or anything like that? So I think it's really useful, but it can be a little intensive. It took me probably 2 or 3 nights, like a good few hours over those two or three nights, to kind of sit there and figure out what I wanted to have in my power sheets and what sorts of things were important to me. So it can be a little bit intensive, but it does help you get really intentional and specific about what it is that you want to focus on in the coming year, which I really appreciate, because my word of the year is purposeful, and I came to my word of the year before I finished or even started the prep work for the power sheets. At the end of the power sheets, you can pick your word for the year, and I was really glad that all of the things that I wrote really seemed to feed into my word of the year. Everything that I was looking at was telling me that I need to be more intentional with my time, that I need to be thinking about, questioning things and examining things with, is this serving my overall purpose? And a lot of the questions here are kind of getting you to think about what you think your purpose is in life in general. So I found that to be really useful, and it was confirmation for me that my mindset going into this new year, this new decade, I'm going to be 30 at the end of this year, which is a whole new realm of opportunities for me. I feel like my 20s have been full of so much greatness. I mean, I met my husband, I got married, I had a kid. Before I even finished college, I found a great job, and I've been in that job for almost 9 years now. So a lot of really, really great things have happened for me, but I'm also looking at this new decade and turning 30 and feeling like things were really great, but I think I also played it really safe in a lot of ways, and I didn't take advantage of certain opportunities and get in on the ground floor with certain things that, had I done that, where would I be with some of those goals that I have? So we'll get into it with one of my goals, because one of my 8 goals kind of talks about that more directly. But yeah, just I feel like in general, all of those steps that you take before you get to your goals help you be really clear. If you're being honest with yourself and you're being, like I said, intentional, then I think you can get to goals that really make sense for you by the time you're done with all the prep work. So let me get my little bookmark. So I did choose 8 goals, and I will share them with you. So the first goal, and I say the first goal, but none of these, like, one is not more important to me than the other. I would say they're all pretty equally important to me, because it's kind of like a holistic view of what I want for my life in the coming year, and things that I want to do better or improve upon. So my first goal is to spend time bonding and being more present with my son. I think a lot of us can probably relate to this. Number 2 is prioritize my marriage above all else by spending time with my husband and deepening our relationship. Also something probably a lot of us can relate to if you're in a relationship. Number 3, work on my mental health and overall mindset. I started some of that in this last year, and I hope to continue that and improve that in the coming year. Number 4 is gain control of my life and my legacy by wholly pursuing financial freedom. Number 5 is challenge myself to live more boldly and take more risks, hence what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Number 6 is cultivate relationships that uplift me and are based in love and encouragement. Number 7 is prioritize my physical health by reestablishing healthy habits and routines. I think I got really good with this about 2 years ago, and in the last 2 years I've kind of fallen off the map with it, so I really want to make sure that I'm prioritizing that this year. And then the last one is seek out a balance at work that will allow me to feel peaceful and satisfied. As a perfectionist, it's really hard for me to feel satisfaction in basically anything ever, but it's really important to me, specifically at work, to kind of let go of some of those perfectionist tendencies and find acceptance with the fact that I know I work as hard as I can, I know I give my all, I know that I am a smart person that makes sound decisions as much and as often as I possibly can. So then we move on to each month. In the Powersheets, you have months at a time, and then you also have your, I think it's seasonal or quarterly refresh time, where you kind of reevaluate the goals that you set and kind of like fine-tune them a little bit more. So for January, I set up my tending list, and like I said, I didn't have too high expectations for how this month was going to go, because I had a really major thing at the beginning of this month that I knew was probably going to derail me for quite a little bit. Even after events like that are over, it's really hard to kind of like reset and realign, just for me personally at least. So I think I made some good progress. One of the goals that I had for this month was to spend more time with my son, and through no intentions or plans of my own, that ended up happening. I ended up taking him to the zoo this month. Just yesterday we went to the library and spent a whole afternoon there. They had an anniversary event and everything. So I had it as a goal to set a date and an activity and everything like that, and unfortunately that just didn't happen with how the last couple of months, or the last couple of weeks of that month went. But I feel like the universe was kind of rewarding me for knowing that my best intentions were being put out there to try and work on these goals, because we went to the zoo, and it was actually just a birthday party of a classmate of his that he was invited to, but it allowed us to have a really great day together. He hadn't been to the zoo yet, and so I was really grateful for that opportunity. I think it really helped bond us in a great way. The job that my husband is working right now, he's working part-time, and he works every single weekend, every day on the weekend. So my son and I are spending a lot more alone one-on-one time than usual. So I'm trying to take advantage of that to spend more time with him. Like I said, in the last couple couple of years, I haven't been doing that as much. I've been prioritizing some other things, and I think they're important and they're great, but I do kind of like want to realign a little bit and make sure that I'm prioritizing time with him. One thing that I do need to get better about is so you set your goals in your power sheets, but then you kind of break them down into mini goals with some action items. And one of the things that I did not do this last month, I got better toward the end of the month, but I would say like the last week of the month I got better about it, is not being on my phone as much in the evenings. So that is something that I'm setting as a hard goal for February, to be a little better at it. I think in general, I thought I was being really specific with the goals that I was setting in January, and then realizing that some of them I made no progress on whatsoever, and it probably didn't have very much to do with the fact that I was so busy. Just kind of meant that I wasn't being as specific as I could be. So I had that in mind for February, and I've since revised my tending list from January to February a little bit differently. So one thing that I made a lot of progress on too is I mentioned prioritizing or improving my mental health and mindset over the next year, and I did get better with that. I started meditating every single morning for at least 10 minutes. Trying to consume positive content, or just kind of starting the day with some affirmations that are going to help me overall have a better mindset. That doesn't mean that I didn't have hard days or days that my emotions got the best of me in the last month, but I think overall I did a much better job compared to even the month before, handling daily things that came up by making sure that I implemented those attention skills, those focus skills, those skills of not allowing emotion to control you and everything like that. So I definitely did better with that. I did start a fitness program. I did not complete all the exercises I was supposed to do this week, but I'm restarting for next week, and I'm just going to keep going. Progress, not perfection, is what I'm trying to keep in mind. I was having really great nutrition at the beginning of the week too. Like I said, the last part of this week I kind of fell off a little bit. I had a lot of different stressors that came up, and I allowed them to get the best of me, which all of us can be guilty of. But I started out with great nutrition that I'm going to definitely be picking up again. Partly today I'm filming this as a Super Bowl, so tonight obviously we'll be having snacks and stuff, but for the better part of today, I'd like to be eating well, and then I'll go back to eating well tomorrow. I've also been drinking a ton of water, which I had really neglected, and I felt a difference in drinking so much water. My water bottle's right there, but I definitely feel like I noticed a difference in doing that. So in my health goal, I made some progress this month. With my son, I made some progress this month, but some of my other goals I did not make as much progress. So that's something that I want to be thinking of going forward. So for February, since I didn't do a video for January, I don't really want to spend too much time talking about what I did and didn't do, but for February, I have gone ahead and filled out my tending list. All of those things are here. I don't really want to like show everything that I have on here because some of them are really personal to me. So I will share the things that I feel comfortable sharing. Just know that there may be some other things on here that I'm not mentioning because to me they're just too personal to share. So for my monthly action items, I think this is the first month too that I feel like I'll be hitting all of my goals, all 8 goals in some way, small or big. So I'm proud of myself for making that progress this month as well. So I want to switch to cash and cash envelopes this month. I want to replenish my emergency fund, which is not super low, but I need to build it back up. I use some of it for some things, save an additional $400 in savings, for my living boldly and taking more risks and challenging myself. Part of that is really focused on growing my blog and really putting my energy and attention to there. So I want to revisit my email service and really develop a content plan for my email list and get back on doing that on a regular schedule. I want to pick another date for an activity with my son. I do need to pick a date for a date night with my husband. I was not able to get to that last month, but I really want to do it this month. I also want to set an evening routine and schedule some time every single evening where I either work on my blog or work on freelance work. I do freelance work for a friend of mine and some other clients, and the last couple of months I've really gotten off track with that, but I really want to assess what my evening routine looks like and identify like what my schedule is going to be. Is Monday, Wednesday going to be working on my blog, Tuesday, Thursday working on freelance stuff, and then Friday kind of like whatever needs to get done, that's going to be like my eat the frog kind of night. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I want to create a business plan for my blog and identify certain services that I can offer so I can generate some income. And then I want to make a list of all of my friends, specifically friends that I don't spend a lot of time with or that I haven't spoken to in a while, that I really want to cultivate better relationships with in 2020. And hopefully at least one of those people, if not more, I can set a coffee date or a time for us to get together. That's my goal for this month. My weekly action items, I want to sit down with the Budget Mom planner every single Sunday. I was moderately good about that this last month. I want to work out 4 times a week. I was not as specific with that last month, and I think that kind of hurt me, so I want to make sure that I'm more specific this month. I want to journal at least once a week for self-reflection. That I didn't write down in my planner, or pardon me, in my Powersheets, but I think I kind of did that as I felt like called to do it, and it helped, so I want to commit to at least doing it once a week. I want to check in with my content planner that I use for social media and my blog, and make sure that I'm adding that to my petite planner every single week. And then daily action items and habits. I want to leave work on time. So I'm supposed to leave work at 5, and I usually don't leave work at 5. I usually leave around 5:30 or 6 o'clock sometimes. If it's really, really bad, it's even later than that. So I'm challenging myself. There were some days where I left early and I did a good job, but I could do a much better job going forward. And one of the things that I did is block out the days that are weekends, so Saturdays and Sundays, because as someone who likes the satisfaction of checking stuff off, seeing days on there that I couldn't check off because obviously I wasn't at work, so there would be no tick to check off because I wouldn't be leaving work, I'd be home, was like killing my soul a little bit. So I decided at part of last month to start doing that this month, and I think it's going to help me to be able to see that like that's blocked out. Don't feel bad. I know there's not a check there, but you're at home, so that's why there can't be a check there. But I'm a visual person, so I need to make sure that I have those sorts of things built in for me to feel like I'm making progress and have success. Fill in my habit trackers. I was okay about that last month, but I would definitely want to get better with it. I used the Erin Condren Wellness Petite Planner as my habit tracker. So the one side where you can put like your exercise, activity, water, steps, all that kind of stuff, I use that as it's intended. And then the other side where you put your meals and stuff like that, actually I'll have to show it in another video, but I've since widened that content out, so like breakfast, snack, lunch, whatever, and I put stickers over them. And so my other habits are my morning skincare routine, my evening skincare routine, taking vitamins on a daily basis, and then also meditation. So I'm using that as a habit tracker for those other bits. Start each day with meditation. This, we'll see how it goes. It's really hard for me during the week sometimes because my husband wants to keep sleeping, but I don't really have a quiet space that I can do it without waking up my son. So I'm hoping that we can start establishing a more structured morning routine. He was like kind of on board and doing a decent job with it, but it got spotty, especially toward the end of the month. So I think it just needs to be a conversation with he and I where I just really need to stress him that this is really important to me, and in the long run, him starting his morning a little bit earlier is going to help him too. So want to make sure that I start each day with that. And then one thing that I added here that I probably should have added last month, but I really wasn't thinking about it very much. And then I realized I don't really think I went back to my mini goals and action steps when I was writing my tending list for January. And that to me was a mistake. I definitely want to make sure going forward for future months I'm avoiding doing that. And that's advice that I would give to someone else if they were starting with their Powersheets. It's great to look at your goals, yes, and have those in mind, but also make sure that you're going back to those mini goals and your action items, and as best as you can, making sure that you're pulling out those specific action items and giving yourself at least one of those things to do each month. So I would like to stop watching television in the evenings. I just think it's poor a poor use of my time when I could be doing other productive things. It's also very easy for me to use that as a distraction from spending time with my son and having conversations with him. So I'd like to do that in the evenings. I think the only exception that I will make to that rule is on Tuesdays when I watch This Is Us. Basically every other television show that I watch, I can watch on demand, or I don't need to watch really after it goes live or anything like that. So that is something that I want to challenge myself to do in the evenings. And I think not having the television will also be a reminder that like, you should probably not also be on your phone. Find another way to keep yourself entertained, and ideally make sure that way is either having a conversation with my husband or spending time with my son playing with his cars or whatever it is that he wants to do. So that's what I have on my list for February. Like I said, January had its ups and downs. I think there were some things that I was able to accomplish, like I said, through no genius or intention of my own, but the universe just propelled me into these things, and I'm grateful for that. And then other things that I was not as successful at that I want to make sure that I'm doing in this coming month. So I hope if you're using Powersheets or if you're interested in them, that this video is helpful to you, for you to kind of hear how I'm approaching my Powersheets. I know there are a ton of other people out there doing videos as well, so this is just how I'm using them and how it's going for me. This is kind of my progress update video, and then also to just giving you some insight into what's going to be important to me in 2020. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are first time here, consider subscribing. I post videos every Tuesday, my plan with me's, and then on occasion other times during the week when I have videos like this that I can publish. And if you are a regular subscriber, thank you so much for being here every single week. I love you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great week.